Yeah, I talk about that as well. It's like I was a kid that had a different uniform than everyone else because the organization didn't have uniforms to fit me. And
I can't imagine
and
that.
you talk about the kids clowning you because they got a yellow stripe and mine are just plain. Like, so I was, I look back on that lab with all them kids that's clowning me. Hey, look at me now.
Look at you now.
1, 2, 3, 4.
So let's skip to high school.
Uh-huh.
I got to So when did you get the passion? I mean, you said you were 5 years old playing baseball.
Uh-huh.
When did you shift over to football, or did you do both?
I did both. I started playing football when I was 7.
Okay.
But I was a husky kid.
Me too, man. We got a lot in common.
I had my weight was above my years.
Yeah.
So I had to play up in football because I couldn't make weight at 7.
Man.
So they give you at that time probably weren't able to give you a certain time where you could play up.
Right.
You know what I mean? I was the kid that during weight ins had to run around with a trash bag on, trying to make a weight.
Been there.
Right before that, strip it down, embarrassing your drawers and your dunks and your little box, your little briefs, trying to wait on the scale so you could try to make it.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I was that kid, and but I played up, and playing up from 7 to what I think I was 9-year-olds, 8 or 9.
Yeah.
That's a different beast. So it taught me how to fight. It taught me how to, to build that heart inside when you get knocked down repeatedly because the kid's just bigger than you and stronger than you at the time. Yeah. I may have the weight, but it's different type of mindset, mentality, and heart at that time, and experience.
Yeah.
So I had to do that a couple years at Pop Warner, and then some years I couldn't even play. So what I did is I played soccer.
So baseball player, football player.
I always forget about soccer, but yeah, when I couldn't make weight, I'd go play soccer, and I was the little chubby kid running around soccer. And soccer, you know how much they run. Even in practice, they running all these big laps. I'm in the back huffing and puffing and everything carrying on, but it taught me some more. It taught me more. It was all life lessons. Sports are nothing but life lessons.
Yeah. So
soccer taught me a lot as well too.
Yeah. My wife, when she hears this, she's gonna say it's not soccer, it's football.
Football. Football. That's right.
She's gonna get on me about that. So you like you said, you played both sports.
Mm-hmm.
Was it easy to transition from one sport to another, and you talked about before you get into that? I had the same problem. You may not see it now, but I had the same problem. I remember not being able to play in some games because I didn't make the weight.
Yeah, I talk about that as well. It's like I was the kid that had a different uniform than everyone else because the organization didn't have uniforms to fit me.
And I can't imagine that.
And you talk about the kids clowning you because they got a yellow stripe and mine are just plain. So I was, I look back on that lab with all them kids that's clowning me. Hey, look at me now.
Look at you now, exactly.
But the transition, then it wasn't a lot of personal trainers. Nowadays, if you're a kid playing basketball, you need to train outside with a personal trainer.
Right.
Football, same way, 7-on-7s or whatever it may be, basketball, all these different baseball.
Yeah.
So our transition, playing sports, it was like, okay, I play a different sport to help build my athleticism.
Right.
So, football, baseball wasn't much of a hard transition, in that aspect. I also, played basketball, recreational on a few teams growing up and stuff. So I just love the games, and I've learned to learn later on. I also love the camaraderie.
Yeah.
It's nothing like, when you have to go through adversity with somebody, with a teammate, and then you have to count on them and then go out here and play and accomplish the same goal.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's how you treat in life. Those relationships you want in life.
Right.
Outside of it. So the transitions weren't necessarily hard in playing it, and transition from one sport to the next, because it was just something I look forward to.
Okay. What kind of student were you? I always get that comment.
I was a good student. My father didn't allow, he always wanted A's or B's. He tried to set that standard. He understood if I fell short and got a C and occasionally D and something, but he wasn't going to allow it to continue on.
Yeah.
So I think by him setting that standard, it made me have to make sure I work harder to make sure I got grades. I was a good student. I mean, I think I maintained, for the most part, honor roll 3.0. But I wasn't the type that was like, oh, I'm going to go study and and say I did what I needed to do to get the grade.
To get the grades.
You know what I mean, and stayed apart. But I think it's important that we all, as any student or any child growing up or adult, is to be the best you can. A student athlete is something that it's different. It's important. It's separate from anyone else, as I call civilians, as I like to call it.
Okay.
The student athlete is asked to do so much more. The responsibilities are different.
Yeah.
Even though this one student is a civilian is going to class and they may have hard classes, but then you got an athlete that's training and practicing for 12 hours a day and still have to do the same thing.
Right.
Are there perks with that? Yes, but that's because of the work you put in.
And it builds character
Yeah,
too.
and it builds like character. It builds discipline and it builds character. Yeah.
So take us back to that moment, because I imagine you played high school football. Did you play varsity the whole time, or you?
Nah.
Okay.
So when I didn't play, it was hard for you to get moved up to varsity.
Yeah.
Freshmen weren't getting moved up to varsity it was rare.
Right.
So I had to do the ranks, and in my school we had a freshman team, we had a sophomore team, then we had varsity where juniors and seniors played on.
Right.
Sometimes we had a sophomore, guys may play varsity, but I wasn't that. I was an athlete, but I wasn't the best athlete.
Okay.
I was a solid athlete, and I think that what I always had to do, like my father said, I just had to work harder to really bring out my athleticism.
Yeah.
I had to do more than others, and I had to learn that. I wasn't the strongest. I had to go in the weight room and just really kind of just keep on working, on working. I also was a late bloomer. Like I felt like I didn't really grow into myself honestly until probably 21. 21 years, like I was still growing until I was 21. So, I mean, through high school, you look at pictures like, hold on, who was that? A picture like that. To see myself go from being, what I would call athletic chubby, to seeing myself thinning out and becoming like, through high school, the ranks. But no, so I just played all the way up. And honestly, that's one pivotal part of my story when I talk about it, is that I got played out of position my senior year. Like I was playing linebacker all the way up through these ranks, and by the time, my senior year, the coach told me, he said, hey, at this time, you run a 4.8, everything like that, you'll be good, you'll got to start a linebacker. I worked that whole summer to make sure I solidified running 4.8 and ran up running faster than that.
Yeah.
And then they switched me to offensive line.
No way.
And said, you're going to play center for us. We need you to play center.
Your senior year?
Center on offensive line my senior year. I got friends, they got all their scholarship letters up on their walls. Where they thinking about going, interest letters, because they're playing these positions for a period of time, and I was like, I had a choice to make. I had a decision. Do I stop playing football because I'm just upset,
right?
Or do I embrace it and play it and do as my father would say? If you flipping burgers or if you're making fries, be the best burger flipper, the best fry maker out there. So I had a decision to make. I decided to be the best center I possibly be. And at that point, I became all-conference center when it's all said and done. But that didn't lead me to no recruits.
No, yeah.
No letters like that. So
unfortunately, you don't hear of that.
Yeah.
The top, one or two centers
exactly.
Get to that position.
But that hurts though. Your friends laugh at you and everything. You play center. It was like it hurts because at that time your goal, especially when you're passionate about something.
Yeah.
So, but it's all about making choices and decisions in a long time. What you're gonna do.
So that, I guess you could say, that was one of your first obstacles that you had to overcome.
Many of them, even before that, but that was definitely one of them. Yeah. And I think it was pivotal when you start looking at where I ended up.
So my question was going to be, take us back to that moment in high school, because did you get recruited from Morehouse, or did you work? Okay, so tell us how that went.
This would be a whole long story.
All right, okay.
Look, let me tell you, the short version of it, but I had a passion for playing football.
Yeah.
And I knew I wanted to play collegiate football. I did not get recruited for football at all. Well, Division III schools were coming to talk to me, and that's nothing but a package deal and everything. Yeah. But in my mind, I always knew and was told, even my father, even though he didn't go to official college till later, he always knew. He said, college is supposed to be the best time of your life.
Yeah.
So that's what I wanted. I seen my sister going to college. I seen her. I spent time with her up there at the school she was at. I was like, okay, college, yeah, this is fun.
Yeah.
And I wanted that, but I also wanted to play sport. I could not let go of just because I was playing opposition my senior year. I actually walked on to the University of North Alabama because my best friend was going there. And he was like, I'm going North Alabama. You should come down with me to this orientation or to look at it. Okay. I go down there. I walk into the football office. I tell them I want to walk on. They say, okay. And I'm like, but they showed interest.
Right.
Other
Okay.
schools weren't showing interest, and all I wanted was somebody that wanted me.
So that's where you started
I
out.
started in North Alabama.
So a friend of mine is gonna see this. He's retired military as well, and he's from Alabama. He gonna say, I knew I liked him. I can hear it now.
A lot of Alabamians that know about that, so yeah.
So you attended the HBCU Morehouse, home of the Maroon Tigers.
Yeah, that's right.
And a fun fact I
House.
found out that school, you probably already know this, Morehouse is the only all-male private HBCU in the world.
And that's the one reason why I almost didn't end up there.
Yeah, why?
College supposed to be the best time of your life.
Yeah, I guess that
And the
was
all-male institution was not a place that was appealing to me at the time.
Yeah, exactly.
My father showed me that pamphlet when I first came out of high school. I said, dang,
Ain't gonna
that
be.
doesn't look like the best time of my life.
Well, it was. It's in Atlanta, so
It's in Atlanta, but I didn't know anything about that. I was 17 years old.
Yeah.
You know, so I didn't know about that. So yeah, I was not going to Morehouse. That was not the case. And it's funny how life be lifing.
It does. It
Yeah.
does. For those of you, and it's probably only a few that don't know about Morehouse. Martin Luther King went to Morehouse.
For sure.
Spike Lee went to Morehouse, and I did not know, but Samuel L. Jackson went to
Yeah,
Morehouse.
Jackson definitely with the Morehouse.
So you guys got, and of course Isaac Keys went to
There
Morehouse.
you go. Yeah, and many other greats. For sure.
Exactly. So tell me this though, so you went to Alabama first. So that was
North Alabama.
North Alabama.
They'll start yelling roll tide. on
yeah.
there.
Okay, now North Alabama.
Yeah, there you go.
So what was the transition from St. Louis to Alabama? Now that had to be kind of a little culture shock.
Yeah, for sure. I didn't know we were country in St. Louis.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
I look at everybody around like, yeah, I grew up in St. Louis. I didn't realize we were country in St. Louis. And in St. Louis, I didn't realize it because I went to Alabama. I was like, oh, they're country.
Yeah.
Like, they have a different vernacular than I was ever in tune to listening to or hearing before, as much as I traveled to family reunions and all that. So going to Alabama was definitely a culture shock. But that's one reason why I speak and I tell kids, anybody that's getting ready to graduate, go away from home.
Yes.
Because no matter what, homes became a comfort zone. That's like you're going to be your default. Home is going to be that until you go away somewhere. It's where you're really going to grow, because you don't have the natural things that you always have. At home, your parents and being able to go to the house whenever you want to, or your mom saying, "Hey, you need this," or "Dad is not." No. You have to go back, go home, because now you're going to use all the skills that your parents are trying to instill into you and all the things you learn in the college when you go away.
Exactly. Go ahead.
No, that's it. I mean, I just feel like you go away. So that realizing that from St. Louis is where I realized more about St. Louis, because I'm going away. I'm looking back at the career like, wow. We say here, we say there.
Yeah.
I didn't know we had double R's in our accent.
Yeah,
like that. You learn to appreciate things about your hometown when you see other places. You learn to appreciate about these other places and see that you've been there. Like, oh, that's how they move. That's how they do.
Yeah.
Or they do it this way. The dances, how they how they dress, all those things, and then you kind of start to, interpret it and internalize it, and you start kind of using some of it.
You become.
You know what I mean? But you become more conscious and just in diversity.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's important.
It's funny you're saying. I had this conversation with my grandson today, who is in West Virginia, first year playing ball there. I can't think of the name of the college. It's a small school. It's a 4-year school, and he's frustrated. He's frustrated because he's away from home, and it's cold now.
Yeah.
And I'm not getting the playtime. I said it will come. You got to stay in. It's the process, as you talk about.
It's the process. You can't cheat the process. The process is going to help you in the long run.
So now you leave North Alabama and go to Atlanta.
Mike, we go through that. You know how many lives I live.
Oh, okay.
We go by each part of it. They got to get the book for that.
Exactly.
Because if you go through each part of it, we're going to be here forever. Which I'm having a great time talking to you.
Yeah.
But I just know you're going to be going through crazy trying to cut this up. So, but yes, Morehouse, and where you going from there?
Well, I was just going to say, now you're talking about, I thought that there would be a transition period from St. Louis to Atlanta, but man, that stop in between, that definitely had to be a challenge that you had to.
It was, but Atlanta's a whole other beast. Now we're going from a small town called Florence, Alabama, where North Alabama was, and go back, to St. Louis, through the summer. Then I'm going to Morehouse to Atlanta.
Yeah.
The AUC by itself is this city. You got Clark, Atlanta, Morehouse, Spelman, and Morris Brown was all popping at that time.
Right.
And it's right in 97, right when like the last Freaknik at the time. So Atlanta is just off the chain right now, the map of everybody that's come down there. And everything. But Atlanta, when I was in school, all I knew was that area there.
Right.
I really didn't even know mostly about everything that was going on in the city.
You stay local.
You know, so I mean, for that part, because there was just so much going on via school and college. But that was a whole nother adjustment period.
And I'm not gonna let you get into it because you're right. They need to get into the book to figure it out. And I'm excited. We'll talk, especially after I read the book.
So, yeah.
All right, let's jump into. I didn't know this either. NFL, Canadian football, and you also played in what is called now the NFL Europe.
Yeah.
So you which is at that time was called the World League of American Football. So
NFL Europe, when I was there, NFL Europe
in Scotland.
Yeah,
my wife is gonna definitely want to talk to you about that. And again, we'll let y'all definitely go. But what obstacles did you face while trying to make it to the NFL? Just a few.
I mean, that was so many. I wasn't deemed to go to the NFL. People now, they look at it and outside or even then, it's like, oh, the NFL is like it's easy to get to. No, there's 1%. It's still 1%. It's just the people that they talk about, or that you see on ESPN or the names they see. But I wasn't that. I was at a school that wasn't known for football. It was known as an academic school. And I helped build that program in my right while I was there. Just like other players did too. But I poured my heart and soul, blood, sweat, and tears into that program at Morehouse. But then, like I said, I was a late bloomer. Like I was still growing. I still was trying to figure it out. I finally, I'm able to play a position that on the defense side of the ball. And again, I talk about that. I went from center to playing tight end at North Alabama. Even though I wanted to play linebacker there, tight end. Now I come down to Morehouse. I couldn't even play the first year. It's a lot. And like I said, but going to the end, to answer your question, to the NFL, I think the stars and the moon align, but I also the work aligned with
the work
that I put into it, and the work that I did on the field, but off the field, aligned as well too. And then some people just really believed in me. Some scouts really believed in me. They saw something in me, and they held true to their word.
So quickly on the NFL, I was going to say, choose a skill level that helped you during that time. And I was going to give you communication, problem solving, teamwork, leadership, adaptability.
Adaptability,
and
for sure.
You answered that in your,
adaptability for sure. But that's all I was doing through life is just trying to adapt and overcome. And I think that's some of the things that are precise into my journey.
Thanks for tuning in to episode 2 of this 3-part series featuring Isaac Keys. We learned some very powerful lessons as we explored Isaac's life story and the journey that shaped who he is today. We were able to watch that the foundation that he built through hard work, resilience, and dedication, those started to come to life. He's talked about his early days in Morehouse and not being able to play football his first year, facing those challenges, those adversities head on, and he overcame those. I see a very valuable lesson that not only can you use in football, but also in life. Life, football, and other things is just as much mental as it is physical. That same lesson will soon apply for his life beyond football. So let's step back into episode 3 and let's see what happens when the phone stops ringing. What do you do next? How do you overcome that? He'll share that with you. So make sure you check out episode 3, the conclusion of this 3-part series of Isaac Keys. And hey, listen, if you like what you're seeing so far, then give me a thumbs up, leave me a comment, and if you have not subscribed, then do so. It lets me know that you really enjoy what we're bringing to you. But more importantly, out of anything at all, remember to always ignite your future. Till next time, this is Mike Unplugged. Come back, check us out, subscribe now. Make sure you subscribe.